Did you attend any of P. Diddy's parties? Were you involved in any of the freak-out?
Oprah, happy birthday.
There's an ongoing FBI investigation, and the fact that she felt the need to vanish right now, that's hard to ignore. In a strange twist, it turns out Oprah's been hiding more than just her avocado obsession.
And I don't think Oprah was trying to out me. I'm not prepared to discuss, that I'm gay.
On Oprah, yeah, I've been excluded, yeah.
Oprah Winfrey said, I'ma have your mama. I'd have said, shut that down. I don't need nobody seeing my mama be greedy.
Because she's angry at Oprah for betraying her.
Rose McGowan, David Letterman, and Nathan Lane are all names that have shown Oprah's true sense of being over the years, and it's time we listen to what they have to say. Rose McGowan has called Oprah Winfrey as fake as they come in a scathing Twitter post over her friendship with scummy producers who I can't even name, they're that awful. We can't even show you a picture of them, so you're gonna have to use context clues today, folks, if you don't already know the identity of the mystery people that I'm talking about. So Rose McGowan took to Twitter to speak out against the popular talk show host, sharing a photo of Oprah kissing the disgraced Hollywood producer on the cheek. Once again, we can't show that photo. So that photograph of the pair was taken at the 2014 Critics' Choice Movie Awards, if you're looking for it. Rose McGowan is a Me Too activist. She accused that particular producer of wrongdoing, and she accompanied her post with a caption reading, "I am glad more are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't." From being pals with insert anonymous producer's name here, to abandoning and destroying victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. She is as fake as they come. #Lizard. Now, the victims she referred to are those of a hip-hop music mogul. Nope, not the one I talk about all the time. One who has been accused of more than a dozen cases of SA and misconduct since 2017. Now, he's responded by admitting inappropriate conduct in some instances, but disputed the allegations of non-consensual interactions. Once again, not the one I talk about all the time. Somebody different, whose name I don't think I can say either. In terms of mainstream American talk show hosts of the last 40 years, Oprah Winfrey and David Letterman are up there. They're two of the biggest names of all time. For a long time, their shows were a place in pop culture where the most influential figures in any mainstream media felt comfortable enough to throw off the cloak of privacy and be candid about their lives. Back before social media, we all got glued to these little devices. And even though they were both masters at conducting interviews, objectively speaking, they were locked in a strange rivalry that had a lot of people perplexed at the time. So apparently these two had a feud that lasted more than 2 decades. Oprah refused to speak to David Letterman whenever they bumped into each other. So apparently this all started when Oprah appeared on The Late Show back in 1989, and apparently that was an uncomfortable experience for her. So the crowd was angry because the night before she'd hosted a TV show about devil worshipping, which was a complete disaster due to the outlandish claims of some of her guests that she seemed to entertain, including a couple of very deranged people. So when she went on Letterman, the crowd was so heated that one guest even called on the host to, and I quote, "rip her Dave." Now, Letterman explained why he felt Oprah got so angry at him, and he thinks she resented the fact that he didn't rise to the occasion and, go after that guy. And he said, which I probably should have, but it was completely out of control and I didn't know what I was doing. Now, admittedly, the late night talk show host did not help matters because afterwards he would make quips about Oprah's feelings towards him and exaggerate the situation. Letterman even claimed he was ill because he ate clams at her restaurant, The Eccentric. She likes to forget about that restaurant. Now, Letterman later made things worse in 1995 by tearing into Oprah during his duties at the Academy Awards because he was the host that year. He said, "I've been, itching to do something all day, and I think we can maybe take care of this," he said before introducing Oprah and one of the biggest stars of the day, Uma Thurman. He said, "Oprah, Uma, Oprah," and he quipped about their names before adding, "I feel much better. Have you met Keanu?" Now, despite all of this, and David Letterman being quite rude, apparently Oprah's real hatred started in a different moment from her appearance on his show back in 1989. So, speaking with Jon Stewart in 2010, Letterman explained that Oprah hated him after he left her with his bill at a restaurant they were both eating in. So this was apparently long before the Academy Awards. She was out with Stedman, and Letterman was with his then girlfriend Regina. They were both at a restaurant having lunch on vacation, and he said to his girlfriend, "Oh, this is hilarious. I'm gonna make Oprah buy us lunch." So when the time came to pay the bill, Letterman told the waiter, "Oh, this woman right over there has been kind enough to take care of our check." And then he and his girlfriend waved to Oprah as they left, and he said, "We got a free lunch," and apparently that's where it started. Good grief. In 1988, Elizabeth Taylor playfully shut down Oprah's attempts to get her to address dating rumors, and Oprah teased her about her refusal to give a straight answer. Now, years later, when Oprah reflected on the interview, she called it her worst. She said it's still painful to watch for many reasons, including my bad hair. And like, okay, that's a joke, but that's not actually why it's painful to watch, lady. She explained that before the interview, Elizabeth Taylor had asked Oprah to stay away from questions about her relationships. And Oprah said, well, that's kind of hard to do when you're Elizabeth Taylor and you've been married 7 times. And to her credit, she later apologized to me. Okay, but you still went against her wishes, so no wonder Elizabeth Taylor didn't really like you in the interview. When Robin Williams and Nathan Lane did a joint interview to promote The Birdcage back in 1996, Oprah brought up potential rumors about Nathan's sexuality since he played an openly gay character in the film. Now, at the time, it being 1996 and all, he wasn't about to discuss his sexuality publicly, so Robin, being Robin Williams and an improv master, quickly changed the topic by making a joke. So fast forward, it's 2023 and Nathan Lane said, like, I don't think Oprah was trying to out me, but I did say to Robin beforehand, I'm not prepared. I'm so scared of going out there and talking to Oprah. I'm not prepared to discuss that I'm gay on national television. I'm not ready. And Robin, being Robin Williams, said, oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it. We don't have to talk about it. We won't talk about it. And Nathan Lane credited Robin for swooping in and diverting Oprah and going off on a tangent and protecting himself because Robin Williams is a saint. So in February of 1993, Oprah landed the first live televised talk with Michael Jackson in 14 years. And she asked the unthinkable in this hour-long television special. So since the mid-80s, there was a lot of speculation about Michael Jackson. People were like, oh, he wants to be white. He bought the Elephant Man's remains. He slept in an oxygen chamber. He married Elizabeth Taylor. His best friend was a monkey. The monkey was telepathic. And that he was a virgin. Yeah, so Michael Jackson didn't respond to anything except for through his music. For instance, Leave Me Alone from his 1987 album Bad, which is my favorite album, was the first song in what became something of a subgenre for him. Michael taking media harassment and responding to it with music. Or at least, that was how it went until that fateful day. When sitting across from Oprah Winfrey in this special, he responded. So it's the most awkward part of the interview, and Oprah took up the topic of the singer's love life. She said, I'm gonna ask you something, and it's embarrassing for me, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Are you a virgin? And you just feel Michael sigh. He tried to laugh it off and he replied, like, how could you ask me that question? Like, pretty much everything else she asked him falls under the long list of topics I'm not allowed to talk about. But I can say they were extremely intrusive and personal, not to forget controversial, and if I ever meet this woman, I have so many questions for her. Once upon a time, Oprah Winfrey found herself in a brand new situation. She had to apologize to her audience. Now, what did she have to apologize for? So we all remember Oprah's book club, right? Oprah's favorite things. So she had this book. She was like, oh my gosh, this author James Frey, he wrote this memoir, A Million Little Pieces. I love it, it's great. Well, when everybody found out that he fabricated parts of that mega-selling memoir, and it was mega-selling thanks to Oprah's endorsement, everybody was in trouble. So she said, I left the impression that the truth does not matter. To everybody who challenged me about this book, you are absolutely right. And you know what? In theory, good for Oprah, right? She's admitting to being wrong. But here's the thing. When I mean everybody was calling Oprah out for, the flub, I mean everybody. Like the New York Times did a report on the memoir. So Oprah didn't really have a choice. She had to apologize. Besides the initial investigation showing that the author clearly lied about time he spent in jail, various run-ins with the law, some employees at the rehab center he attended also came forward to dispute his portrait of life there. And hey, if you were one of the people begging for Oprah to apologize, you got it. But, and this is where we get into things today, she did it in a way that had a lot of folks waving red flags about her behavior. So as Oprah really dug into Frey over various moments in his memoir that had either been proven false or remained dubious, you almost felt sorry for him. Let me explain. So the audience clapped when Oprah kept spitting out zinger after zinger saying it's a lie. You presented as a false person. It was kind of hard to avoid thinking that the author was there to be put on display, not just to set the record straight, but for a public punishing, dare I say almost a witch trial of sorts? More than once, Oprah emphasized that experience embarrassed her. So her revenge was just shaming him in front of a live studio audience. And at the time, everybody was shocked. They were like, who knew Oprah was an eye for an eye kind of lady? So, my little question for you, Oprah. If you could see at the time now that everything was like a red flag and whatnot and so false, why didn't you see it sooner? Oh, and by the way, if you're looking for footage of that whole everything, it's been scrubbed from the internet.
make of that what you will. From being too invasive to saying straight up rude things to guests, here's our list of Oprah Winfrey red flags exposed on camera. Now, one interview that's awkward to look back on is the one that she did with Michael Jackson. It was his first interview in 14 years, and he used the opportunity to dispel rumors and explain the changes in his lifestyle and appearance. Michael said that his noticeably and gradually lightening skin wasn't the result of cosmetic and elective skin bleaching, but an effect of a genetic skin disease called vitiligo. But one thing that he refused to discuss with Oprah was his love life. He claimed to have been dating Brooke Shields, and Oprah flat out asked him some very personal questions. "I'm a gentleman, that's something that's private," he said. "You can call me old-fashioned if you want, but to me that's very personal." Oprah then sensationalized a legal proceeding that Michael was going through, and his brother Randy Jackson came out and claimed that Oprah was airing episodes related to his brother's trial in 2005 to make him look bad in the public eye. Randy said that he believed that Oprah wanted to see Michael in jail. Now, apparently when Michael saw this, it was the last straw for him. It was then made clear that Oprah could not and would not be trusted again. But then after Michael passed away, Oprah was given access to Michael's former home after being granted an interview with his mother Catherine and his 3 children. Now, many people in the Jackson family were aware of Michael's distrust in Oprah, and they didn't want this interview to go through. Now, they especially disapproved of Oprah being allowed to film inside his home and conduct his kids' first ever interview, as Michael didn't like his kids being in the public eye. A source at the time said Janet is furious. She thinks Oprah took advantage of Michael's for TV ratings. Janet told her Michael would be heartsick that Oprah used his kids as pawns. They also said the 2 women had a blistering blow-up during a telephone call on the day that the show was taped. When Oprah made it clear that she was going ahead with the interview, Janet screamed, "Oprah, you make me sick." Now, other family members of Michael have spoken out about their disdain for Oprah, but she didn't care. All she wanted was high ratings, which is honestly just gross. Then there was the interview with Elizabeth Taylor in February 1988. Now, back in the day, Elizabeth was a huge star, but at this point in her career, a lot of people were focused on her love life. Why? Well, it included 7 marriages to 6 different men at that point. And yes, she married, then divorced, then married and divorced the same man over again. Now, when Elizabeth was a guest on Oprah's show, she had one rule, that Oprah was not allowed to ask her about her love life at all. But Oprah decided to ignore this and asked Elizabeth about her relationships. Elizabeth hit back though, saying that it was none of your business, and gave Oprah a cold stare. Which, honestly, good for her. Now, this was then a turning point for the interview, as Elizabeth had no interest in it. According to Oprah, after that, her responses were short and tense, making for bad, boring, and hostile television. Now, at one point, Oprah tried to cut the tension by quipping, "You're so revealing, you just tell everything. I declare you've got to stop talking so much, Miss Taylor." Now, I can see what she was trying to do here to try to bring the mood up, but it didn't work and it made things worse. Now, this interview was just awkward. Oprah then explained that before the interview, the actor asked her to stay away from questions about her relationships, and Oprah said, "That's kind of hard to do when you're Elizabeth Taylor and you've been married 7 times. Now, Elizabeth called this the worst interview of my life, and she later apologized, citing hip and back pain as the reason for her mood. But hey, I don't blame her for acting that way. She said she didn't want to talk about it, and Oprah ignored that and disrespected her. I think Elizabeth could have been even ruder to her, and hey, maybe she deserved it. Then there's a time Oprah pretty much objectified a young Cindy Crawford. Cindy and elite model management founder John Casablancas were interviewed on Oprah's show in 1986. During the segment though, Oprah had the young model stand up so the audience could see her body, which honestly feels extremely weird. Now, reflecting on the encounter 37 years later on Apple TV's Plus, The Supermodels, in the moment I didn't recognize it, and watching it back I was like, oh my gosh, that was so not okay, really, especially from Oprah. Then there was the time in 1996 when Robin Williams and Nathan Lane did a joint interview to promote The Birdcage. During the sit-down, Oprah brought up potential rumors about Nathan since he played an openly gay character in the film. Now, at the time, he wasn't ready to discuss publicly, so Robin quickly changed the subject by making a joke. Now, on a 2023 episode of Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist, Nathan said, "I don't think Oprah was trying to out me, but I said to Robin beforehand, I'm not prepared. I'm so scared of going out there and talking to Oprah. I'm not prepared to discuss that I'm gay on national television. I'm not ready." And Robin said, "Oh, it's alright, don't worry about it. We don't have to talk about it. We won't talk about it." He then said that Robin sort of swoops in and diverts Oprah and goes off on a tangent and protects him because he was a saint. And good thing he had Robin with him, as that was not a real appropriate question for Oprah to ask. Another time Oprah's been called out for not being sensitive was when she did an interview with Dolly Parton in 2003, and it has resurfaced with people questioning the star and her interview tactics. Now, some people have questions about what Oprah was asking Dolly, how she was asking, and what exactly her goal was by probing her for personal information. In a first video, Oprah asked Dolly how she's able to look so good for her age, and Dolly gives a funny answer. Oprah presses harder though, noting that Dolly has been open about having cosmetic work done. It seems like Oprah was trying to have a gotcha moment to throw Dolly off and make her uncomfortable, but Dolly rolls with the punches and admits to it. Now, Dolly even says she'll probably continue going under the knife, and some people are pointing out that Oprah looked disappointed that Dolly flipped it in her favor. Now, a second clip from that same interview has popped up as well, and Oprah dives right into a heavy subject, saying she heard Dolly fell into a huge depression at age 40. Now, she doesn't really approach the topic with any sensitivity, and that's rubbed people the wrong way. And one of the most prolific examples of Oprah being insensitive is when a young Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were on her show. At the time the interview took place, Mary-Kate had been hounded by the press about her weight, with intense media speculation that the star was suffering from an eating disorder. Oprah, knowing this was a touchy subject, brought it up anyways. In the interview, she says, "I know there's been a rumor that has recently surfaced that's really upset you," and Mary-Kate and Ashley were both clearly taken aback by the question, and a tense moment of silence happened, followed by Oprah saying, "You know, the one about eating." Now, Mary-Kate was so thrown by this line of questioning, she almost looked to be on the verge of tears, but her sister Ashley jumped in to rescue her. "Yeah, you know, people are going to write what they're gonna write," she says. Now, after some awkward back and forth, Oprah asked the Olsen twins what dress size they are, and they reacted uncomfortable by saying, "I don't know." It was obvious that the questions about their body were uncomfortable, but Oprah still pushed. When they said they weren't sure, Oprah hit back sarcastically saying, "Oh, you're not sure? That's so interesting." Now, later that same year the Oprah interview aired, Mary-Kate checked into a rehab facility to seek treatment for a food-related health disorder. Now, I'm sure her being asked those invasive questions didn't do any good when it came to her mental health. Now, Oprah should honestly be ashamed of how she treated those two girls.
Oprah isn't exactly known for being a nice person, but Cindy Crawford, Elizabeth Taylor, and even the Olsen twins had interactions with her that left a lot of people feeling kind of awkward watching them. So when Oprah interviewed Cindy Crawford and elite model management founder John Casablancas back in 1986, she had the model stand up so the audience could see her body. Well, when Cindy was reflecting on the encounter 37 years later on a show called The Supermodels, she was like, "Yeah, I was to be seen and not heard." And when you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah was saying, "Stand up and show me your body. Show us why you're worthy of being here." Now, in the moment, Cindy didn't really realize and she didn't recognize it. And watching it back, she was like, "Oh my gosh, that was so not okay," especially from Oprah. When you consider Oprah's history with body image and how much of her platform has revolved around it, yeah, really not okay. When Robin Williams and Nathan Lane did a joint interview to promote The Birdcage back in 1996, Oprah brought up a lot of rumors about Nathan's sexuality, since he played an openly gay character in the film. Now, at the time, he wasn't ready to discuss his sexuality publicly, so Robin thankfully quickly changed the topic by making it a joke. On a 2023 episode of Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist, Nathan said, "I don't think Oprah was trying to out me." Alexa speaking, I think she was. But Nathan said to Robin beforehand, "I'm not prepared. I'm so scared of going out there and talking to Oprah. I'm not prepared to discuss that I'm gay on national television. I'm not ready." And Robin was like, "Oh, it's alright. Don't worry about it. We don't have to talk about it. We won't talk about it." And he mentioned how Robin swooped in and diverted Oprah and went off on a tangent and protected him because Robin was a saint. Loved Robin Williams. Never heard a bad thing about him. In 1988, Elizabeth Taylor playfully shut down Oprah's attempts to get her to address dating rumors, and Oprah teased her about her refusal to give a straight answer. Reflecting on the interview, which she called her worst years later, Oprah was like, "Oh yeah, it's painful to watch for many reasons, including my bad hair." Oprah, it's hard to watch for other reasons, not just your bad hair. Now, she explained that before the interview, Elizabeth Taylor specifically asked Oprah to stay away from questions about her relationships. And then Oprah was like, "Well, it's kind of hard to do when you're Elizabeth Taylor. You've been married 7 times. To her credit, she later apologized to me. Yeah, in private probably. "I'm sorry, I think women should have as many relationships as they want, as many marriages as they want. Go nuts." In February of 1993, Oprah landed the first live televised talk with Michael Jackson in 14 years. She asked the unthinkable in an hour-long television special, which portrayed an eccentric but vulnerable star. To understand the enormous buzz that an interview with Michael Jackson generated in February of 1993, you gotta understand the context, folks. Since the mid-1980s, people speculated that Michael Jackson wanted to become white, that he had bought the Elephant Man's remains. He slept in an oxygen chamber. He married Elizabeth Taylor. He suffered from anorexia. His best friend was a monkey. The monkey was telepathic. And that he was a virgin. Never before had a celebrity provoked so much fascination or so many utterly bizarre headlines. Michael Jackson had never responded to anything, except through his songs. For instance, Leave Me Alone, which one of my personal favorite songs, from his 1987 album Bad, was the first song in what became something of a subgenre for him. Michael taking media harassment and responding to it through his music. And that's how it went until February 10th of 1993, when, sitting across from Oprah Winfrey in an ABC Live special, he responded. According to Oprah, this conversation was unscripted, uncensored. After addressing how Michael felt going from an adorable prodigy and growing up through the industry, she laid the groundwork to address the singer's controversial physical appearance. And then after that, she was firing away. She was like, "Oh, is it true that you sleep in an oxygen chamber to stay eternally young? Did you buy the Elephant Man's remains?" She went through a litany of crazy headlines, all of which Michael Jackson was like, nope, absolutely not. They did talk about facial appearance and presentation as well. And in the most awkward part of the entire interview, Oprah took up the topic of the singer's love life. She said, "I'm gonna ask you something, and it's embarrassing for me, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Are you a virgin?" Michael sighed. He tried to laugh it off, and he replied, "How could you ask me that question?" Pretty much everything else she asked him that's controversial falls under the long list of topics I'm not allowed to talk about. But I can say they were extremely intrusive and personal, not to forget controversial. And it kind of just really shows Oprah's true colors. She wants the headlines. So let's talk about other members of the Jackson family for a moment. While Janet Jackson was okay with being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey after Michael's passing, she was horrified when her brother's immediate family was called on the show. She saw that as Oprah using his family as a means to boost her ratings. And there are reputable sources that have reported that there was an intense conversation between Janet and Oprah, one that created a lasting tension and hatred, and rightfully so. When you look at everything else we've talked about today, so far, to me it seems like Oprah really just does care about the ratings and being in the spotlight. On a 2021 episode of Literally with Rob Lowe, Oprah said she made a big mistake when she asked Sally Field, "Hey, does Burt Reynolds sleep with his toupee on?" Then the actor went cold, and Oprah was like, "Oh yeah, I even say now, like I cringe to even think why I asked that question, but I asked it because the producers are like, you have to ask, you have to ask, you have to ask. That's what everybody wants to know." Well, Sally shut down and Oprah could not get in again. Look, I don't know. I'm not an interviewer, but I think there's a lot more eloquent ways that topic could be broached if you need to ask it. Yes, I know Oprah is not known for her subtlety. I think we've established that by now. But still, time to go back in time to 2004 when Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were the biggest thing in media, and Oprah had them on her show because that's what you do. They had a media empire. At the time of the interview, rumors have been circulating that Mary-Kate was suffering from an eating disorder. And later that year, she did spend time in a rehab facility to receive treatment for a health-related issue. Good on her for taking care of herself. But Oprah said, point blank, "Oh, I know there's a rumor that's recently surfaced that upsets you, right? You know, the one about eating." Which, also, the fact that it upsets you, maybe we shouldn't bring it up. And Ashley quickly jumped in to try and shield her sister, saying, "Yeah, you know, people are gonna write what they're gonna write. We try not to read the good or the bad because it just comes with the territory. Either you're too fat, too skinny, and people are just gonna write what they..." And she was interrupted by Oprah. She didn't give it a chance to finish it or try to distract. Oprah was like, "Well, what size are you, by the way?" And you could see both sisters looking extremely uncomfortable. And Ashley once again tries to deflect. She's like, "Size? Like we're both petite." And it's fair, they were very. And then Oprah was like, "Oh, that's so interesting." She's like trying to joke it off, the fact that she interrupted and is just being very pushy. She's like, I'm obsessed with size. And you're like, "I really don't know." And then Mary-Kate pipes up because she knows that she's the one who needs to speak, sadly. And she's like, "You know, I really don't know. If we were obsessed with our size, it'd be like, I don't know, a different story." Like, take a hint, Oprah. Move on, find something else. Most recently, Toni Braxton took aim at Oprah, alleging that the TV titan was mean to her way back in 1998. Tony was having some financial problems and Oprah was like, we're gonna poke at this. She said that the chat on TV severely damaged her reputation because Oprah made some choice remarks about overspending, which was around the time when Braxton declared bankruptcy. So this all came to light in a taped interview for VH1. It was a behind the music special, and Tony said, she was so freaking mean to me, I was in shock. And this is the funniest statement, folks. She said, I hear you have Gucci flatware. I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware. And Tony was like, well, you don't have Gucci flatware because you didn't want to buy it. It's not because you couldn't afford it. And Braxton was like, yeah, she made me feel this big. Like, okay, great. You don't have it. I don't have it. Big whoop. Taraji P. Henson, David Letterman, Janet Jackson, and so many more celebrities have had something to say about Oprah for quite a minute, and it's time that we listen. So people don't usually feud with Oprah, at least not publicly, so that's why it was kind of jarring to see Taraji P. Henson speak out about the disrespect that she faced on the set of The Color Purple, a film where Oprah was an executive producer. Henson's comments sparked immediate rumblings of a feud between the two women, as well as a necessary conversation about the way black women in Hollywood are constantly disrespected and underpaid. While Oprah has claimed that there is no hatred between the two, there's definitely some kind of mess and some kind of drama. So back in December, Taraji told The Hollywood Reporter that she was fed up with the industry. She said she was sick of being underpaid and that she had been fighting tooth and nail every project to get the same freaking quote. Later that month, Gayle King asked her about, when she said she wanted to retire from acting, and the star got teary, saying she was just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what she does, getting paid a fraction of the cost. She's tired of hearing her sister say the same thing over and over. She said that every time when she thinks she's breaking another glass ceiling, when it's time to renegotiate, she feels like she's at the bottom again, like she never did what she just did. After her comments went viral, she sat down with the New York Times for a more in-depth interview, and in it she spoke out about racism in Hollywood, pay inequality, and the unfair working conditions on sets like The Color Purple and Empire. She said she hasn't had a raise in her pay since her work in 2018, and it almost led her to walk away from The Color Purple. She said they don't care. They're always looking for a deal and trying to pay you the least amount. The actress mentioned how the cast was given rental cars and was asked to drive themselves to set in Atlanta, and when she asked for a driver, she was apparently told, well, if we do it for you, we gotta do it for everybody. And she said, well, do it for everybody. She spoke about her time on Empire, during which she said she was fighting for trailers that weren't infested with bugs, which, I'm sorry, that should be basic human rights. In terms of contemporary American talk show hosts, Oprah Winfrey and David Letterman are two of the biggest names of all time. For the longest time, their shows were a place where the most influential figures in popular culture felt comfortable enough to throw off the cloak of privacy and be more candid about their lives than ever before.
Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor, please welcome Oprah Winfrey.
This is the worst Super Bowl party ever.
Now, Dave, be nice.
He's just saying that because I'm here.
No, he's just saying that because I'm here.
However, although they were both masters at conducting interviews, for a long time the pair were locked in a strange rivalry that had everybody else perplexed. The two had a feud that lasted more than 2 decades, with Oprah refusing to speak to Letterman whenever they bumped into each other. According to an account in the Huffington Post, it all started when Oprah appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman back in 1989, and for her it was an uncomfortable experience to say the least. The crowd was angry, because the night before she'd hosted a TV show about devil worshipping, which was a complete disaster due to the outlandish claims of some of her guests that she seemed to entertain, including one deranged woman called Rachel. So when she was on Letterman, the crowd was so heated that one guest was like, "Rip her, Dave!" Now, later on, Letterman explained why he felt Oprah was so angry with him. He said, "I think she resented the fact that I didn't rise to the occasion and, knock out the guy, which I probably should have, but it was completely out of control and didn't know what I was doing." Admittedly, the late night talk show host did not help matters, as afterwards he would make quips about Winfrey's feelings towards him and exaggerate the situation. Letterman even claimed he was ill because he ate clams at her restaurant, The Eccentric. Letterman made things worse in 1995 by tearing into Oprah during his duties as the Academy Awards host, saying, "I've been dying to do something all day, and I think maybe we can take care of this," before introducing Oprah and one of the biggest stars of the day, Pulp Fiction star Uma Thurman. "Oprah, Uma, Uma, Oprah," he quipped with their names before adding, "I feel much better. Have you folks met Keanu?" Now, despite Letterman being rude, Oprah's real hatred started years earlier in a different moment from her appearance on his show back in 1989. Speaking with Jon Stewart in 2010, Letterman explained that Oprah hated him after he left her with his bill at a restaurant they were both eating in. So apparently that predated the Academy Awards. Apparently she was out for food with Stedman, her partner, and Letterman was with his then girlfriend Regina. They were both at a restaurant having lunch, and he was like, "Oh, this is hilarious. I'm gonna make Oprah buy us lunch." So when time came to pay the bill, Letterman told the waiter, "Oh, this woman right over there has been kind enough to take care of our check." And the duo waved to Oprah as they left the premises. He's like, "We got a free lunch," and that's where it started. It looks like they're buddy-buddy now, but still, I feel like there's some tension still behind the scenes. Toni Braxton took aim at Oprah in a TV expose, alleging the TV titan was mean to her during a 1998 interview about the singer's financial problems. The R&B star insists the TV chat severely damaged her reputation after the host made some choice remarks about her overspending, which led Braxton to declare bankruptcy. In a taped interview with VH1 for a Behind the Music special, the singer said, "She was so freaking mean to me, I was in shock. She said, 'I hear you have Gucci flatware.' I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware." And Toni was like, "Well, you didn't have Gucci flatware because you didn't want to buy it. It's not because you can afford it." But Toni said, Oprah made me feel this big, which, she deserves better. Janet Jackson's beef with Oprah Winfrey is a lot more personal than some of the other entries I've talked about today. So when Janet Jackson was keen on her interview with the talk show host, she was horrified when her brother's descendants were called on the show. Janet saw this as Oprah using Michael's family as a means to boost her ratings. And there are sources that reported that there was an intense conversation between Janet and Oprah, one that has created a lasting feud between the two billionaires. Back in March of 2010, Monique won the Best Supporting Actress Academy Award for her performance in Precious. Since then, she has opened up about what she said was her being blackballed in the entertainment industry for nearly a decade at the hands of media moguls such as Oprah Winfrey. So Oprah is the same talk show host who had an interview with one of Monique's family members just days after her big career accomplishment. Oprah sat down with the comedian's older brother, Gerald, who sadly harmed Monique growing up. Now, this was reportedly the first time he had admitted to his crimes, and he also confessed to being a victim of the same actions by other family members. Somebody said that Oprah needs to answer for this, because interviewing Monique's brother after her historic Oscar win, this doesn't make sense. Plus, it's starting to look bad for Oprah. Somebody else said that Oprah definitely seems like she has a mean, cold side. I just wonder why she was so mean to Monique. Monique said Oprah crossed her on so many different levels. She said that she reached out to the OWN creator, but her efforts to communicate didn't happen. 3 years after the interview, she confronted Oprah at a celebration party for Lupita Nyong'o, which was in honor of Lupita's Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Oprah was sitting on my right, she said, and then I turned to her and said, "Now I need to talk to you." And apparently you could hear a pin drop. Monique said, "Since you didn't want to return my calls for whatever reason, I'm going to say this right here." She asked Oprah why she invited her parents on the show, due to their severed relationship at the time, and Oprah said, "Oh, I had no idea the entire family was showing up." She's like, "I didn't know anything about that." And she added, "Oh, if I did anything to offend you, I apologize," which is like such a non-apology apology.
I start seeing commercials with my mother. We never talked about my mother being there. How would you feel?
Betrayed.
That is exactly how I felt.
And thanks to Oprah's weakness for theories that veer towards the decidedly out there, her legacy has been undeniably tarnished. So sure, she did endorse plenty of credible things in her heyday. Barack Obama, John Steinbeck's East of Eden, which became a bestseller after being featured on her show, which was like 51 years after it was published. But on the other hand, we have Oprah to blame for the rise of, Jenny McCarthy, who had her theory that vaccinations cause bad things on the show back in 2007, and she's been repeatedly cited as a factor in the return of diseases in the States. You've got Dr. Oz, the Turkish-American heart surgeon, first appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2004 and quickly became part of Oprah's team of experts who regularly appeared on the show. And he dispenses with facts he doesn't find convenient. He manifests an egregious lack of integrity by promoting quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain. According to experts, he's more like a Kardashian than a surgeon. Oprah might be determined to get the nitty-gritty truth out of everybody she talks to, but she might want to look into the mirror after all the lies she's told over the years. Rose McGowan called Oprah Winfrey as fake as they come in a scathing Twitter post over her friendship with scummy producers who I can't even name, they're that awful. We can't even show their face, so you're going to have to use context clues today, folks, if you don't already know the identity of the mystery producer that I'm currently trying to talk about without talking about. So Rose McGowan took to Twitter to speak out against the popular talk show host, sharing a photo of Oprah Winfrey kissing a disgraced Hollywood producer on the cheek, which I think was a photo taken at the 2014 Critics' Choice Movie Awards, so it's about 10 years old. Now, Rose McGowan is an early Me Too activist, who accused that particular producer of wrongdoing. And she accompanied the photo with the caption reading, "I am glad more are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't. From being pals with, insert anonymous producer's name here, to abandoning and destroying victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. She is as fake as they come. Hashtag lizard." Now the victims Rose was referring to are those of a hip-hop music mogul, but one who has been accused of more than a dozen cases of SA or misconduct since November of 2017. Now he responded by admitting inappropriate conduct in some cases, but has disputed the allegations of non-consensual SA-related interactions. The legend of Oprah Winfrey as an extremely poor person growing up without a father, a mother that was too young who apparently, according to claims, carried Oprah with shame during pregnancy and then neglected her, spread when Oprah began giving interviews in Chicago. She would say, "Oh, they harmed me. I wanted to be white because I never saw white people being hurt." She remembered her early years in life as lonely. She didn't play with anybody except the pigs she rode without a saddle in her grandmother's garden. She said the only thing I could talk to were the animals in the farmyard. I read them Bible stories. And she said that she was so poor that her family couldn't afford a dog or a cat. She had 2 cockroaches as pets. She put them in a jar and named them Melinda and Sandy. She entertained her audience with stories about fetching water from the well, milking cows, emptying the drinking pot. This tale she spun, this horrible, horrible life. She told stories about her grandmother who swung a switch, her grandfather who swung a stick. Now these were the people who raised her for the formative years of life. She said, "Oh, how they harmed me. Once again, I wanted to be white because I never saw white people being harmed." She said her grandmother did this because it's an integral part of Southern tradition. This is the way old folks raised their family. You spill something, you meet the switch. You tell a story, you meet the switch. She said grandma could do this all day and never get tired. Now, not everybody in Oprah's family agreed with this desperate upbringing. Her mother, Vernita Lee, when asked about her daughter's abilities to self-dramatize her stories, said Oprah is a bit of a cold smoker. Now Oprah's sister also dispelled the myth of immense poverty. She said, "Of course we weren't rich, but Oprah exaggerated how bad it was for us. I guess the viewers would love her, the audience would grow. Cockroaches were never her pet. She always had a dog. She had a white cat. She had an eel in a tank. She had a parakeet named Bo Peep. She was trying to teach the parakeet how to speak." She said, "Where Oprah got that nonsense about growing up in filth and roaches, I have no idea." Now, that was a statement from her cousin, Catherine. She said, "I confronted her and asked, why do you tell such lies?" Oprah said, "That's what people want to hear. The truth is boring." Well, Oprah, I would like to hear some form of truth out of your mouth. So for many years on air, Oprah was portrayed as this wholesome person. She was like, "You get a gift, you get a gift, you get a car, you get a this, that, everything else." Turns out her stepmom has said otherwise for many, many years. According to Barbara, Oprah is one of the most controlling people you will ever meet. So when Barbara and family wanted to visit Oprah, Oprah was like, "No, you can't stay at my home. You gotta pay for your own hotel room. I'll come visit you maybe." Apparently Oprah was quick to anger when it came to her staff, with a lot of folks being fired left, right, everywhere all over the years. But here's the thing. So you know how I mentioned how Barbara's like, "Nope, no family can stay with me," even though Oprah's like a billionaire and owns ranches and this, that, and everything else? Well, I guess when Oprah goes to visit Barbara, which never really happens, but it does, she stays at Barbara's place, and when she stays over, she complains. She's like, "My bed sheets aren't 1,000 thread count, bath towels aren't big enough." Like, lady, you're a multi-billionaire. Why do you want to make your family feel like a burden? If you really care that much about things, go stay in some fancy schmancy hotel yourself. So Oprah's been called out for using weight loss medication, despite being like the longtime poster woman for Weight Watchers. Seriously. The branding is there. Now she has confirmed she's now using this unnamed substance to help her control her weight. In a very revealing chat, she said "Yeah, no, my new slim figure is thanks to this. And of course a healthier lifestyle overall." Kind of like how when superhero actors say, "Oh yeah, my lifestyle is because of broccoli and chicken." She's like, "Yeah, I now use it as I feel I need it, as a tool to manage not yo-yoing." She said the fact that there's a medically approved prescription for managing weight and staying healthier in my lifetime feels like relief, like redemption, like a gift, not something to hide behind and be ridiculed for. She said, "I'm absolutely done with the shaming from other people and particularly myself." But here's the thing. There's a number of fans, myself included, that feel like the billionaire philanthropist is being a bit hypocritical. Once again, she has been a proud spokesperson for Weight Watchers since 2017, and I feel like even before that she was praising Weight Watchers on her show. So a lot of fans have spoken out, and one person said, "What I don't like about Oprah is she is clearly off doing Ozempic, but yet she's still pushing Weight Watchers. And somebody else was like, okay, done with shaming, but okay with lying? And a lot of folks called her out for letting people believe she did it the old-fashioned way, asking, why did you lie? Back in 2012, Oprah gushed for weeks about Microsoft's Surface tablet. She compared it to a Mercedes. She called it one of her favorite things of 2012. One day she went a step further. She tweeted out to her 14.8 million followers saying, love that Surface. She said she'd already bought 12 of them for Christmas presents. One teeny little problem. Oprah, or whoever managed her Twitter at the time, sent the tweets from an iPad, because it literally said like sent from my iPad or whatever. And the people of the internet, who never missed the opportunity to poke fun at an online little flub, took notice. To quote one expert, she does have legions of fans, making her an effective marketing channel for Microsoft, except for when the narrative around her promotion is tossed on its head by a foolish and utterly avoidable mistake. Surface ads, now brought to you by iPad. Come on, it's such a silly little mistake. Back in 2010, Monique won the Best Supporting Actress Academy Award for her performance in Precious, and sure, amazing, notable, love that. That's not her point today. After that, she was blackballed in the entertainment industry for almost a decade, if not more, at the hands of media moguls such as Oprah. And Oprah, was really shady about it. She's the same talk show host who had an interview with Monique's family just days after her big career accomplishment. Now, for most people that sounds like a great thing. Like, oh my gosh, yes, you won, let's get your family on to gush about you. But here's the little snafu in that logic, folks. Oprah sat down with Monique's older brother, Gerald, who harmed Monique while they were growing up. This was the first time he had admitted to his crimes. He confessed to being a victim of the same actions by other family members. And somebody said this online, and it's best said this way: Oprah needs to answer for this, because interviewing Monique's brother after her historic Oscar win, this doesn't make sense, and it looks bad for Oprah. Why would you want to do something so negative when you're celebrating something so amazing? Somebody else noted, Oprah definitely seems like she has a mean, cold side. I just wonder why she was so mean to Monique. And Monique said it herself. Oprah crossed her on so many different levels. She tried to reach out to Oprah to, settle this, discuss it, but the efforts to communicate just weren't being returned. So, 3 years after that interview, Monique confronted Oprah at a celebration party for Lupita Nyong'o. And she said, and I quote, Oprah was sitting on my right. I turned to her and said, I need to talk to you. And apparently, this whole room went so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Monique said, since you didn't want to return my calls, for whatever reasons, I'm going to say this right here. And she asked, Oprah, why did you invite my family on the show when we literally were not talking at the time? And Oprah tried to play it off. She was like, I had no idea your entire family was showing up. She's like, I didn't know anything about that. If I did anything to offend you, I apologize. I'm sorry. You're telling me this multi-billionaire didn't know something was gonna happen on her show? Sure.
If you haven't noticed lately, almost everyone has been hating on Oprah Winfrey. Why? Well, it has to do with past interviews, her beliefs, and her overall attitude. As we all know, the presidential election in the United States was last week, and Kamala Harris had a lot of celebrities promote her and go to her rallies. Now, one celebrity who endorsed her was Oprah, but the Washington Examiner had reported last week that Oprah's media company, Harpo Productions, had received a fee from Harris's campaign for the star-studded live interview in September. Now, the price tag, $1 million. Now that is just crazy, and it has people upset at the star. Well, Harris's campaign sent out a bunch of messages to civilians asking for donations for the campaign, and fans are not happy that some of their money went to Oprah, who has a net worth of $3 billion. Yes, billion with a B. Now, you'd think Oprah would make an appearance out of the goodness of her heart, but no. One person on Twitter said, just embarrassing, that anyone thought that Lady Gaga or Oprah were going to swing enough voters to justify this is insane. Someone else said, all of it is so slimy and disgusting. At Oprah is so utterly repugnant. A third said, those performers should be ashamed of themselves. This is Trump-level grifting and is just one of many reasons you'll never see me donate a penny to a politician. Yeah, this is honestly just wrong. It was then said that Oprah donated $150 million to the campaign, but that was false too. Nicole Nichols, a spokesperson for Oprah, told USA Today the show has not donated to Harris's campaign. No donations to Harris from Oprah or her company, Harpo Inc. are listed on the Federal Election Commission website or Open Secrets, a nonpartisan research group that tracks US political spending. thing. Then there was the whole Maui Fund. Again, this has to do with money, and you would think with Oprah being a celebrity for so long, she would know how the world would perceive her with all of this, but I guess not. In early August 2023, a series of wildfires broke out in Hawaii, predominantly on the island of Maui. The wind-driven fires prompted evacuations and caused widespread damage, ending the lives of at least 102 people and leaving 2 people missing. Now, in light of the tragedy, Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson took to Instagram and TikTok, and in a video they introduced their new collaboration, the People's Fund of Maui. They said that their relief fund was intended to raise money for Maui residents who had been affected by the tragedy. In the video, the pair cited Dolly Parton as an inspiration for their new venture. They claimed that because people were confused about how to help Maui residents, they sought to create a fund that would directly provide residents with relief. In the lengthy caption, the pair wrote, "We're honored to announce the People's Fund of Maui, a fund putting money directly into the pockets of those who were affected by the recent wildfires. As we have seen firsthand, the impacts of these wildfires have been devastating, and we're here to ensure with 100% guarantee that your donations will go directly into the hands of Lahaina residents." Now, after this was launched, people started questioning why celebs were asking everyday people to donate instead of their celebrity friends or even them just funding it themselves. Again, Oprah has a net worth of $3 billion. Now people started calling them out on social media, and instead of taking this critique, Oprah hit back and made things worse. All the online conversations being slammed, the lies, conspiracy theories really took the focus off of what was the most important thing, and that was the people of Maui, Oprah said on a CBS Mornings appearance. "I was on the ground talking to a lot of people, trying to figure out how do I best help." Oprah and The Rock thought about how they had both given to charity their whole lives and felt like starting with a $10 million donation worked because it was enough to kick things off before opening the Maui wildfires funds up to people who wanted to help but didn't know how. "I was so excited about it, then I got up the next morning and I saw all this vitriol and I was like, whoa, what happened here?" she said. But yeah, people were angry, which I don't blame them for, because honestly, what the heck. Then there's the whole thing with her weight. Throughout her career, Oprah has always been made fun of for her weight. "It was a public sport to make fun of me for 25 years. I have been blamed and shamed, and I blamed and shamed myself," she said. Now, one controversial moment regarding her weight loss was in 1988, when she unveiled her new slim figure by taking off an oversized coat and wheeling out a wagon holding 67 pounds of animal fat, the amount she had lost in less than 5 months. Now, the episode drew huge attention, earning the highest ratings in the show's history. However, years later, Oprah expressed regret about it, saying that it was simply an ego trip and admitting that she eventually regained all the weight. Now, Oprah was also a brand ambassador for the brand Weight Watchers. Now, Weight Watchers was already controversial for its weight loss program, but Oprah stood by it, always promoting it. Things took a turn though in 2023 after it was said that she was using an unnamed weight loss drug, and that's how she was able to lose a lot of weight. So it wasn't the program that she had been promoting for all those years, which made a lot of people feel lied to, and they say that Oprah cheated with her weight loss. Then in 2024, Oprah decided to step down and stop working with Weight Watchers altogether. Many people are saying that she's a sellout and that everything she ever stood for was a lie. And hey, I can't blame people for getting upset over this. It's very likely that she's taking Ozempic or something Ozempic adjacent, which is all the craze with celebrities right now who are trying to lose weight. I understand why people are so upset about this, as Oprah claimed for years that a specific weight loss program was working for her, but it was all due to medication. And then there's the fact that she's had certain guests on her show who people believe shouldn't have had a platform. Oprah made Dr. Oz famous as she made him a regular guest, promoted his books, and endorsed his advice on her show. As the Washington Post reported though, Oz provided a platform for potentially dangerous projects and fringe viewpoints aimed at millions of viewers, according to medical experts, public health organizations, and federal health guidance. Now, less than 1/3 of what he says on his show can be backed up by even the modest medical evidence, and nearly 4 in 10 of the assertions made on the show appear to be made on the basis of no evidence at all, which is Not good at all. Now, with Oprah helping launch his career, he has hurt a lot of people with his fake medical advice. Now, someone else who's in the same situation is psychologist Phil McGraw, aka Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil first came on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 1998 and soon began appearing in a regular Tuesday segment to offer relationship and life strategy advice. In 2002, he launched his own syndicated daytime talk show, Dr. Phil, a spin-off of his segments on Oprah's show, which was produced by her Harbo Productions. It has been exposed that Dr. Phil is not a real doctor anymore, and that what he does to help people doesn't actually help, it just exploits them. He's been accused of sending teens to horrible facilities to quote-unquote help them, as wilderness programs, also known as the troubled teen industry, are places that are designed to provide participants with a series of physically challenging outdoor activities designed to prevent or reduce delinquent behavior. And let me say, Dr. Phil has often sent young teens from his show to a wilderness camp called Turnabout Ranch. Now, many former students of these places who call themselves survivors have begun to create online communities to support one another and speak out on their horrific experiences, claiming that they suffered mistreatment at these camps and were left with PTSD, some even taking their own lives afterwards. Still, with all this evidence, Dr. Phil still sends people there. If Oprah had not made Dr. Phil famous,
past scandals and now everything going on with Diddy have painted America's favorite talk show host in a bad light. Stick around for some evil things Oprah has been publicly accused of. The Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls scandal certainly isn't the first scandal attached to Oprah's name, but it certainly was the biggest. The Leadership Academy was originally designed and created to be a place to uplift girls in the community, but the good deed was quickly tarnished when the dorm matron was accused by multiple students of acting inappropriately towards them. The matron was arrested and faced 14 charges. In addition to those of inappropriate physical contact, the matron was accused of getting into a physical confrontation with a dorm parent and separately injuring 3 people while operating a golf cart. Adding more fuel to this fire, Oprah was later sued by the school's headmistress for over $250,000 on grounds of defamation. This was a direct result of this situation with the dorm matron. While that legal battle was happening, Winfrey had publicly commented that she was doing a complete overhaul of the school and that she had lost confidence in the headmistress. The headmistress claimed that these statements made it harder for her to find work afterwards. Court papers from the case read that Winfrey had originally intended to hire nurses to be the dorm matrons. However, the headmistress went a different route and, according to an article from CBS News, hired 8 young women from a local company called Party Design. Winfrey's lawyers at the time wrote about this, saying these young women were later found to be totally unqualified to handle the position, something the headmistress had been warned about. The 2 women were expected to settle this in court, but instead came to an agreement privately shortly before that date. Today, though, there is a brand new scandal being tied to Oprah's name. She has recently been accused of aiding disgraced rapper Sean Diddy Combs and making his sins happen over the years. You might recall that Sean Diddy Combs is in some boiling hot water right now after multiple people have stepped forward accusing him of engaging with them and others without consent, making people consume things unknowingly, force people into unwanted scenarios, film and use the footage from filming inappropriate parties he called freak-offs as blackmail to keep it all on the down low, and just generally being a really awful person and definitely not the kind of guy you'd want your name attached to. Unfortunately for Oprah, that is actively happening to her now since she has attended Diddy parties in the past. The thing is though, half of Hollywood has appeared on a Diddy guest list, but not everyone has been to a freak-off. Diddy was known as the party host in the 2000s. He hosted the white attire parties, massive birthday celebrations, after parties. They were known for being extravagant and expensive, and everyone wanted to attend. Allegedly, sometimes the after party for these events were freak-offs. But many news publications report that by the time a party descended into a freak-off, the big names had already left. However, people aren't just accusing Oprah of attending freak-offs, but also aiding and putting them on. Some sites even saying that she provided the people. Some people even going so far as to claim that Diddy's home was connected to Oprah's via an underground tunnel system, and that's how they did it. As of right now, this is not true. The claim that tunnels were discovered in Diddy's home was proven false. But Oprah's tunnel accusations don't just have to do with Diddy. People have accused Oprah of being part of a larger, multiple parties involved kind of situation that is similar in theme to the Diddy stuff, that directly linked her to some nefarious alleged activity involving forcing younger individuals into bad situations. Surprisingly, one woman claims not only is Oprah involved, but that she has the address to a tunnel entrance. Adria English filed a lawsuit against Diddy, claiming she worked for Combs at the Hamptons and Miami parties he threw in the mid to late 2000s. She claimed that the drinks she was given on the job had other things in them that she didn't want. In addition to allegedly being forced to consume things, English claims she was also forced to engage in inappropriate acts she didn't want to do. While initially having legal representation, Adria English and her legal team parted ways. The cited reason is irreconcilable differences. The filing read that they disagreed regarding almost every aspect of the litigation. One of the lawyers claimed that they never lost faith in her case, just in her, and that her case was great. The issue at hand was that English allegedly undermined their work, went behind their backs, doing things incongruent to advancing her case, to which English has allegedly responded with, "I'm the client, you work for me." Another major point of conflict between English and her representation was that they requested that she refrain from speaking to the media. Pretty soon after parting ways, English spoke to independent media, and the interview made its way around TikTok gossip pages. This is when English claimed that there were tunnels under Oprah's home. She also made the bold statement, she sees what's going on because she's a participant. Now, was all of this true? As of right now, again, no credible news sites have been able to find information confirming this. In fact, some websites like Snopes.com have looked into the tunnel rumor and have stated it false. Now, I don't want to say that Adria English is lying, just that the information hasn't been officially confirmed. But Diddy isn't the first time Oprah has found her name tied to some questionable characters. She was famously close to the man who also had a very public falling out with Hollywood after his past transgressions came to light. Name rhymes with Starvey, anyways, you get it. Oprah was seemingly publicly called out by Seal on Instagram for her past relationship to this person. The man posted a picture, the top image showing Oprah kissing the other man on the cheek with the text, "When you have been part of the problem for decades," and then the bottom image showing the man engaging in conversation with Oprah and another woman, this one with the text, "But suddenly they all think you are the solution." Seal added his own caption to the photo, calling out an individual for hearing the rumors, but not doing anything about it, and implying that the person was pretending that they didn't know what was happening. While Seal didn't explicitly name names, there were faces in those pictures, particularly Oprah's, so everyone assumed he was taking a dig at the talk show host. Seal insisted this wasn't the case, it just happened to be Oprah that was the one in the picture with the man. It was more about the man in the picture than the talk show host, and this text was to be taken as a generalization of the entertainment industry rather than a direct attack. And finally, a popular new Netflix show has dug up an old Oprah controversy. Season 2 of Netflix Monsters crime drama anthology was based on the Menendez brothers case. Already, the show has its own controversies to deal with, but it took some outside parties down with it, including popular TV show host Oprah. She was accused of being dismissive and acting horribly in regards to the whole situation. Back when the actual trial was taking place in the 1990s, Oprah brought on one of the original jurors, Hazel Thornton. She gave Thornton a chance to speak on her experience and clear up some of the false facts that were being reported in the media, like how the jury was deciding between acquitting or charging. Thornton insists this wasn't true, and the jury was always in agreement to charge. The disagreements came down to the severity of that charge. The interview also featured Catherine Cryer, a journalist and state judge in Texas. Cryer and Oprah appeared to agree more than Hazel did. Cryer had made the claim that the defense used psychological manipulation on the jurors by putting nice, articulate, wealthy young men in, and this next part was stressed, in sweaters crying on the stand. There was a really big focus on the fact that the brothers were wearing nice sweaters for some reason. Catherine Cryer further explained her claim, stating that whether the defense is successful in making the jury more sympathetic to the accused by using aesthetics and gentle language, it is a common tactic used. Cryer also brought up tapes that revealed that this tactic was something that the brothers and their representation planned to use. Thornton was not given further opportunity to speak on this. As the show came back from a commercial break though, Oprah and Catherine again spoke on how common it is to see a difference in someone's appearance from the arrest to the court appearance. Oprah segued the conversation back to the Menendez topic and then gave the floor back to Thornton to clarify her stance. She was quick to reestablish that in the first case, the prosecution didn't make its case, and in the second case, they'd had it down. Oprah then went on to share the piece of the story that affected her the most and was the main reason why she didn't believe any of the brothers' tearful testimonies. It was because of the account that when police first arrived at the home, the brothers were out on the lawn crying hysterically. She said, they were crying hysterically when the police came. Whatever that means. Hazel Thornton did gently come back at Oprah with, "Don't you think that you'd be kind of freaked out if you just ended somebody?" And the 5-second long silence that came after that said it all. Now that this clip is viral again, people are calling her insensitive and uninformed, that she shouldn't have even covered the case on the show in the first place. And then Catherine Cryer said that the boys should have just left if they were experiencing extreme levels of harm at home, which prompted Thornton to shut down that argument by citing the months and months of psychological explanations from professionals that herself and the jury received, and just stating that the defense provided enough to give the jurors reasonable doubt. Due to the nature of the content with this particular case, people called out Oprah for championing herself as a person that supports victims, but then was acting this way when it came to the brothers.
Oprah Winfrey is now caught up in all the Diddy drama. She's been spotted at multiple events with the disgraced rapper, and they even appear to have been great friends. Now, they attended multiple events together, and Diddy even appeared on her show. Now, the interview was just straight up weird, if we're being honest, but now leaked footage shows Oprah and many other star-studded celebrities inviting people to Diddy's 29th birthday party. Among Oprah is Chris Rock, Ellen DeGeneres, Ben Stiller, Stephen Baldwin, and Will Smith. With this video being leaked, a lot more celebrities are being accused of being in cahoots with Diddy. It's crazy, anyone I see here is a suspect to me, which I honestly gotta say I agree with. I think it's foul that not one person was staying away from him then, and supposedly they knew. No one was saying a word. Didn't he have some kind of big 4th of July party that anyone who was anyone would be at every year? Those people should be just as guilty accomplices. Now, only a minute or so of the footage was released, but it said that the whole invite video is 6 minutes long. Now, will the other half of the video ever see the light of day? No one really knows, but maybe it exposes sensitive information that would make Diddy and other celebrities look bad. Regardless, it's very strange, and the fact that Oprah was a part of it is a big red flag. You see, Oprah has a pattern of being friends with rich and powerful men who end up being disgusting monsters who get arrested. Now, Diddy is just the most recent one. I wish she were real, but she isn't. Now, Rose isn't the only person to call Oprah out on this, as her former friend Seal made a post when Oprah said that we should focus on the bigger picture instead of Harvey's crimes and his victims. He said, "You have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you're the solution." He said, "Oh, I forgot, that's right, you heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually doing those things to young starry-eyed actresses. My bad." Now, Snoop Dogg has also made multiple posts calling out the star. You know it's bad when other celebrities and her past friends are calling her out. Now, if she hangs out with them, then obviously she's one of them, right? I mean, it has people thinking that she's not as good of a person as she has claimed to be her entire life. You see, Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenage mother and grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising Oprah became too much for her mother to handle, so Oprah was sent to live with her biological father. Since then, Oprah has come forward talking about how she had been mistreated and taken advantage of by her cousin, uncle, and a family friend. As a young teenager, and after suffering for years, she then ran away from home, and a year later she became pregnant. She then gave birth to a son, but he was premature and passed away only a few weeks later. Oprah has used this story to show her strength and to inspire people, but it seems like she might have helped continue the cycle towards young girls, which is just so upsetting. Now, Diddy's parties have been exposed as being evil, and many crimes took place there. Multiple sources have said what happened before 2 a.m. pales in comparison to what happens at 5 a.m., said a first source. Now, a second source who helped get guests for Diddy's white parties between 2006 and 2011 similarly told Us Weekly that high-profile celebrities would leave around 2 or 3 a.m. because they knew the party was going to take a turn. Girls would start to lose their clothes, and that was the signal for people to leave, explained the source, adding that's when the substances would come out, with benders lasting until 7 a.m. Now, the New York Post reported that these parties often concealed freak-off sessions that devolved into explicit encounters after the main events. An unnamed Alabama woman claimed in a suit filed in New York that in the year 2000, she was invited to a Video Music Awards after party by an associate of Diddy. There, she was mistreated by Diddy, while another male celebrity and female celebrity, neither of whom were named in the suit, watched until she was able to escape. Another, an unnamed male, accuser claimed to have been taken advantage of by Diddy at a party in 2022. The accuser alleged that Diddy offered him a drink and promised to help him launch his career. Now, besides being arrested for his crimes, Diddy has also faced other consequences. On Wednesday, October 30th, the decision was made during an in-person hearing where the city commission voted entirely to strip Diddy of the honor. Now, the key was initially awarded to Diddy in 2015 for his contributions to the music industry and his involvement with the Revolt Music Conference in Miami Beach. Amid his ongoing lawsuits back in June, city officials also rescinded October 13th as Sean Diddy Combs Day. Now, this marks the second time Diddy has been stripped of a ceremonial key. In June, he returned his key to the city of New York at the request of Mayor Eric Adams, following the resurgence of a 2016 video depicting him mistreating his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Diddy's trial is set for May 5th, 2025, but it appears that other celebrities involved in the crimes are trying to keep their name out of the news. Ray J, who was friends with Diddy, has spoken out about how some celebrities are paying off their victims when it comes to the freak-offs. Now, my question is, could Oprah be one of these celebrities? Just maybe. Ray J said, "I'm hearing about artists paying victims to keep their name out of it. Somebody has the truth, somebody pays you to keep it quiet, and hopefully that money you got paid secures your happiness while you watch the lie continue to succeed." The interviewer, Harvey Levin, then pushed Ray J by asking if he knew anyone personally who had been offered money to stay quiet. The songwriter then replied, "Here's the other way around it, Harvey, I'll give you money, please don't talk." He then claimed the high-profile individuals are reaching out to him, alleging they want to talk to me about what happened to them, they call me, they feel like they can trust me. Now, Levin then asked if those contacting Ray J are high-profile celebrities who have an affiliation with Diddy. He responded, "Yes, that's exactly what I am saying. And I don't know why I said it, but I said it, so what? Now they're gonna be mad, come get me." Ray J then said, "I think I said too much." In the interview, he did not name any celebrities, but it still raised eyebrows. Now, Tony Busby, the attorney representing more than 120 alleged victims of Diddy, disclosed that he has sent out demand letters to celebrities, asking them to pay up or face the consequences. Tony had previously mentioned that investigations into Diddy's case had implicated several Hollywood big shots, but refrained from dropping any names. He's disclosed that he's now going after other celebrities who attended Diddy's freak-offs, even if they did nothing wrong. In a new appearance on TMZ's documentary, The Downfall of Diddy, Inside the Freak-Offs, Tony claims such big names are as guilty as those who perpetrated the crimes, explaining that their silence and unwillingness to stand against it makes them liable. So will Oprah have to pay up? I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with this case, but it sure is crazy.
During an intimate discussion with Oprah, peeling away the layers of his complex life that we now know all too much about, Puffy once evoked curiosity by avoiding details about the origin of his well-known moniker. The conversation, part of an interview for Oprah's O magazine, began casually. Oprah just inquired about the name's beginnings, and Puffy said, "It's a nickname somebody gave me." And now Oprah being Oprah, she probed a little further, and he got reserved. He said, "I've never told anyone that. I know you can get people to tell you everything, Oprah, but I can't look you in the eye and explain that one." He said, "No more Puff Daddy. The first week in June, we're gonna have a name change ceremony." Now, that was something he announced in 2001. He said, "No, I'm gonna rock with the name that we all know him by now." He said, "My man Biggie gave me that name." Now, this was all after crimes committed by Puffy that I can't talk about on here without sounding like a cartoon character, but I'm sure you can find them. Also, this is kind of around the same time that folks assumed that Puff Daddy had something to do with the passing of Biggie. Make of that what you will. Now, in terms of folks who have called Oprah out for hanging out with icky people, Rose McGowan is the name you're going to want to remember. She's called Oprah as fake as they come in a scathing Twitter post. Now, this was technically over Oprah's friendship with scummy producers who I can't even name because they're that awful. She shared a photo of Oprah kissing a disgraced Hollywood producer on the cheek. Nope, we can't show that photo, folks. Just work with me here. It was a photograph taken at the 2014 Critics' Choice Movie Awards. It's really easy to find. Now, Rose McGowan is an early Me Too activist. She gets accused a lot of folks of wrongdoing, specifically this particular producer who I can't name. So she accompanied that photo with a caption reading, "I am glad more are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't." From being pals with insert anonymous producer's name here, to abandoning and destroying victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. Once again, she is as fake as they come. #Lizard. Now, the victims she referred to are those of a hip-hop music mogul. Technically not the one I'm talking about today, but put two and two together and make four, folks. She was talking about one who was accused of more than a dozen cases of SA or misconduct since 2017. So not the 2024 situation. Now that guy responded by admitting inappropriate conduct in some instances, but he disputed the allegations of non-consensual interactions. So here's the thing. As allegations continue surfacing about all these infamous white parties, the freak-offs, and all the other hula-baloo, so it might be a hot minute before we get the details that we're looking for because everybody had to sign an NDA. So if we're looking at it, it's pretty boilerplate. You can't share information related to the disgraced music mogul, you can't talk about partners, family members, friends, business associates, you can't photograph, film, or record Puff Daddy or anybody around him without written consent, you can't, and it names the specific social media platforms where you can't post any photos or videos of the Bad Boy founder without permission. You also can't give an interview, you can't write a book, you can't discuss anything you saw or anything you were part of, and it just really covers anything that could get Puffy into trouble. Granted, the NDA does expire. I did some research and very popular news outlets, the three initial ones, they say that the signed document is valid for the length of Puff Daddy's life, plus 20 years or 70 years. Yeah, whichever is longer. Look, it's boilerplate, but it's, kind of explaining why anybody that attended these parties kind of needs his written consent to share any info, and seeing as he's currently behind bars and keeping tight lips, yeah, I know. But here's the thing, the NDA hasn't kept the authorities out of somebody's business. Even though it sounds airtight, we all know some of his deepest secrets, and that kind of was enough for the city of Miami to say, we want our key back. Now, they gave him the key in 2015, so 9 years ago, after his former media company, Revolt, held the Revolt Music Conference in the city. Now, after the footage came out of him and Cassie, poor thing, and all the allegations and the arrest, Miami was like, yeah, no. They also said no more to Puff Daddy Day. That was an annual thing on October 13th, apparently. And also, this isn't the first key to the city he's lost this year. Back in June, New York was like, absolutely not. The mayor sent a letter asking for the honorary key back, and Puff Daddy was like, okay, here you go. And that's not the only thing that's been like, yeah, no, we want our stuff back. I believe Howard University revoked the honorary degree that Puffy received in 2014. And remember when I mentioned Revolt a moment ago? Yeah, that was sold back to the employees. They were like, yep, no, here you go, take that back. He doesn't deserve it. So one person who has come forward might provide some answers as to why everybody else is staying mum. 50 Cent has had a lot to say about Puffy, about Oprah, you name it, we're gonna say it. Now, he's addressed his relationship with Puffy in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. And he was like, look, I worked in the same circles as Puffy back in the day, and he kind of explained why he never attended any parties. He said, I've been very vocal about not going to Puffy parties and doing like that. I've been staying out of that for years. It's just an uncomfortable energy connected to it. Yes, I'm self-bleeping myself, folks. It's easier for my editor. So he asked to take me shopping, 50 said. I thought that was the weirdest in the world because that might be something that somebody says to somebody they're interested in romantically. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not effing with this weird energy or weird coming off the way he was just moving. From that, I wasn't comfortable around him. The producer and actor is actually making a documentary about the allegations. I believe Netflix bought the rights back in May, and apparently the proceeds from the docuseries is going to go towards victims of SA. Now, when folks asked, hey, why are you making this documentary? 50 Cent said, I'm the only one from hip-hop culture that's produced quality projects. We do have a lot of talent within our culture where the talent has developed a comfortability in front of the camera, so they're usually a part of it as an actor or driving force of why someone would watch the project, but not the behind-the-scenes production, producing the whole project. So there's a difference. Now, once again, folks, you gotta remember, 50 Cent worked adjacent to Puffy in the early 2000s, but he's like, nope, we were never, ever, ever friends. He said, and I quote, it was mostly work. I wouldn't call it a friendship because there wouldn't be disappointment between us if we didn't speak to each other. There's points that we worked together. Jennifer Lopez actually told him he should work with 50 Cent as a songwriter in the beginning, and I was around that early stages, and he could have done my record deal at that point, which was around the year 2000, folks, if you're looking for a timeline. Now, 50 Cent said, following me being fired up by somebody who had a weapon outside of somebody's grandmother's house, and after Trackmaster signed Puffy, 50 Cent said, I'm just getting back to work, and Puffy would call me to write. And he mentioned somebody else would answer the phone. 50 Cent didn't want to get on the phone, and he was like, no. And somebody else was like, what the heck, we need money. And 50 Cent was like, no, I don't want to talk to him. He said I didn't want to party with him, I didn't want to hang out with him. Puffy's a business person. When people call him a producer, I see people that were taken advantage of, who produce things that he took from them. He got the credit, but he's not a producer. He's been able to take advantage of the business and the creatives in it. I don't have any interest in doing that. I actually fall under the creative, so I just didn't take to hanging out with that. Now, 50 Cent got asked, hey, why isn't everybody else speaking up like you are? He said, well, some of them were involved at the parties and enjoy themselves, so they don't know what the F is on tape or what's not on tape, so they're not going to say anything because they might have had too much fun. And then you've got other people who look and go, well, that's not my business and I don't want to be it. And then you've got a part of culture that says, that's snitching. And it's not uncomfortable for 50 Cent to say what they said because they've been saying it for however many years. I've been telling you, I don't mess with them. I don't like the way you're moving. This is crazy. Everybody else is not going to be as comfortable as I am saying it.
Oprah Winfrey has not been in the public's good graces recently, as she's been exposed for taking weight loss medication and caring more about herself than others. Now, starting off, we have her school. The Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007. Now, this was one of Oprah's passion projects. She founded it with $40 million of her own money, and she even hand-selected the 152 students who attended. Everything seemed perfect until it wasn't. Oprah seemed to handpick the students, but it turns out she didn't do a good enough job when it came to hiring the staff. Less than a year after the school had opened, 6 students came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tani Mekagobo of mistreating them. Virginia pleaded not guilty, and her trial was ongoing. She was arrested in November 2007 and released on bail, and she faced 17 different charges. It has shaken me to my core, Oprah said, of returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and personally speak with the girls. This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating, experiences of my life, she said. Now, in the end, Oprah fired all the matrons no matter what. Now, following the first trial, Oprah was sued by the headmistress of the school for defamation. She alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying that she was covering up the mistreatment going on at the school. However, this case was later settled outside of court before the arranged trial, according to CNN. Now, that's not all that happened there though. Speculation of numerous missing girls from the academy spread like wildfire across social media, and then in March of 2007, some parents complained because they were only allowed to visit their children once a month, and the girls were only allowed to use their cell phones on the weekends. One parent said, "It's a nightmare. We had only 2 hours to see my child. Surely this isn't a prison or an institution." Another mother said her homesick daughter was very upset over the rules. "Michelle phones me in tears sometimes, and then I don't know what to say to her," she said. The school is currently still running, but I hope the girls are being treated better than they were before. Now, Oprah has always been made fun of for her weight, which is honestly just a shame. "It was public sport to make fun of me for 25 years. I have been blamed and shamed, and I blamed and shamed myself," she said. Now, one hurtful moment early in her career was when she landed on fashion critic Mr. Blackwell's list. "I was on the cover of some magazine and it said dumpy, frumpy, and downright lumpy," she said. "I didn't feel angry, I felt sad, I felt hurt, I swallowed the shame, I accepted that it was my fault," she said. Now, one controversial moment regarding her weight loss was in 1988 when she unveiled her new slim figure by taking off an oversized coat and wheeling out a wagon holding 67 pounds of animal fat, the amount she had lost in less than 5 months. Now, the episode drew huge attention, earning the highest ratings in the show's history. However, years later, Oprah expressed regret about it, stating that it was simply an ego trip and admitting that she eventually regained all the weight back. Then there's the fact for the past 10 years, Oprah has worked with Weight Watchers, a diet program that was all the craze. Although it has been criticized by a lot of people as being harmful and promoting disordered eating. With some people not liking her promoting this, she then came out in 2023 saying that she was using an unnamed weight loss medication, and that's how she was able to lose a lot of weight. So it wasn't the Weight Watchers, which made a lot of people feel lied to. Then in 2024, she decided to step down and stop working with Weight Watchers altogether. Many people are saying that she's a sellout and that everything she's ever stood for was a lie. And hey, I can't blame people for being upset over this. It's very likely that she's taking Ozempic or something Ozempic adjacent, which is actually a medication for people who are diabetics. A lot of normal everyday people can't afford to take this medication, and they also don't want to take it from people who really need it, aka diabetics. Now I understand why people are so upset about this, as Oprah claimed for years that a specific weight loss program was working for her. She's lost a bunch of weight, and then she reveals it was all due to medication. I'm glad she's happy with her body, but it now feels like she tricked a lot of people into believing something that will never come true, and it's just scummy. Then there was her whole Maui fund. In August 2023, a series of wildfires broke out in Hawaii, predominantly on the island of Maui. The wind-driven fires prompted evacuations and caused widespread damage, ending the lives of at least 102 people and leaving 2 people missing. Now after this happened, Oprah and The Rock came together to create their own fund to help victims, called People's Fund of Maui. It was to distribute cash directly to people who were affected by the wildfires on the Hawaiian island. Now the 2 celebrities contributed an initial payment of $10 million to the fund and invited the public to contribute their own donations for the rest of it. Now after it was launched, people started questioning why the celebs were asking everyday people to donate instead of their celebrity friends, or even them just funding it themselves. I mean, Oprah's net worth at the time was $2.5 billion. Yes, billion with a B. She could have given away so much of her own money, but she decided to ask others for help. Now people started calling them out on social media, and instead of taking this critique, Oprah hit back and made things worse. All the online conversations being slammed, lies, conspiracy theories really took the focus off of what was the most important thing, and that was the people of Maui, she said on a CBS Mornings appearance. I was on the ground talking to lots of people trying to figure out how do I best help. Now the 2 celebrities thought about how they have both given to charity their whole lives and felt like starting with $10 million worked because it was enough to kick things off before opening the Maui Wildfires Fund up to people who wanted to help but didn't know how to. I was so excited about it. Then I got up the next morning and saw all this vitriol, and I was like, whoa, what happened here, she said. But yeah, people were angry, which again, I honestly don't blame them for. One person on TikTok called their video tone deaf, while another said, we can't afford it, but you can. And Oprah has also been called out recently for how she's treated her guests on her show, and one that stands out a lot is Michael Jackson. According to Oprah's website, 90 million people watched her February 1993 live primetime interview with Michael Jackson. It was his first interview in 14 years, and he used the opportunity to dispel rumors and explain the changes in his lifestyle and appearance. Michael said that his noticeable and gradually lightening skin wasn't the result of cosmetic and elective skin bleaching, but the effect of a genetic skin disease called vitiligo. Now he also opened up about the mistreatment he suffered as a child at the hands of his father and former manager Joe Jackson, but one thing Michael refused to discuss with Oprah was his love life. He claimed to be dating Brooke Shields, and Oprah flat out asked him some very personal questions. I'm a gentleman, that's something that's private, he said. You can call me old-fashioned if you want, but to me that's very personal. Oprah then sensationalized a legal proceeding that Michael was going through, and his brother Randy Jackson came out and claimed that Oprah was airing episodes related to his brother's trial in 2005 to make him look bad in the public eye. Randy said that he believed that Oprah wanted to see Michael in jail, and apparently when Michael saw this, it was the last straw. It was then made clear that she could not and would not be trusted again. But after Michael passed away, Oprah was given access to Michael's former home after being granted an interview with his mother Catherine and his 3 children. Many people in the Jackson family were aware of Michael's distrust in Oprah, and they didn't want this interview to happen, and they especially disapproved of Oprah being allowed to film inside his home and conduct his kids' first interview ever, as Michael didn't like them being in the public eye. A source said Janet Jackson is furious. She thinks Oprah took advantage of Michael's children for TV ratings. Janet told her Michael would be heartsick that Oprah used his kids as pawns, they said to the National Enquirer at the time. The 2 women had a blistering blow-up during a telephone call on the day that the show was taped. When Oprah made it clear that she was going ahead with the interview, Janet screamed, "Oprah, you make me sick." Now other family members of Michael have spoken out about their disdain for Oprah, and it seemed like Oprah was just trying to be an opportunist and didn't really care about anyone's feelings.